911, where's your emergency?
I'd like to see if I could get an officer to do a welfare check on my mother. No one we know of has heard from her in quite some time.
It just drew a lot of alarm bells for everybody.
The next steps to take is to obtain that surveillance footage.
It is suspicious. What are they doing with this money?
I was almost in disbelief. It was hard for me to realize that somebody could do this to another human being.
It felt like I couldn't breathe.
Let's start from top. Did you kill her?
"71-year-old Cindy Mudd is exchanging presents with her family at Christmas.
Thank you, Haley.
She gave the biggest bear hugs that you could possibly imagine. She was the perfect grandma in my eyes. I feel like she was made to be a grandma. When we did celebrate Christmas, it was a wonderful day. Nan was a virologist. She loved what she did, and she was pretty miraculous. I loved her for it. My mother was a single mother, and she worked really, really hard to provide for me. And she did a great job.
Dusty, good.
Cindy's loyal dog, Dusty, isn't left out.
Dogs were always part of her life,
Dusty.
but she was a dog lover. I can guarantee that dog was at her side at all times, just like every other pet we've ever had.
Oh, look what we got here. Look at that. That's
Dan started to show signs of dementia and early Alzheimer's. The last half a dozen times that I saw my mom, each time I saw her, there was a definite decline in her mental status. But my mom was funny and strong and kind. You just never think that something like this is going to happen to your family.
Metro Communications. My name is Jessica Bean, and I'd like to see if I could get an officer to do a welfare check on my mother.
On August 18th, we received a call from an individual who was concerned about Cynthia Mudd, who lived in our Cross Lanes area of Kanawha County.
I've been coming by the house every day for like the last week, and no one's answering. No one we know of has heard from her in quite some time.
I had started going down there every day and just pounding on the door.
The only contact we've had has been with this house guest, and he said, oh, she went away on vacation. My mother doesn't have the means to take a vacation. She doesn't have a car. She doesn't have the money. We don't know what's going on. No one's answering.
Is the house guest still there?
The house guest isn't answering the door if he is.
If they haven't been in contact, it could indicate that there's a very serious problem, and we need to find out as quickly as possible the condition of the individual.
All right, Jessica, I'll get somebody over there to check on her.
Dispatch sends Corporal A.J. Miller to Cindy's house.
So I noticed that the house was in really good shape. The yard was mowed.
Sheriff's office.
I knocked on the residence for over 15 minutes trying to make contact. I could hear a dog barking inside the home. Unless we see somebody that is in need of our assistance, can't open doors that we're not invited inside of. We generally try and look in the windows to make sure that somebody hasn't fallen, but they all had curtains and blinds on them, so I was unable to see inside the residence. I hit the siren to try and get her attention. Still no contact.
Cindy's daughter, Jessica, arrives at her mother's home to speak with Corporal Miller.
I remember meeting Jessica. She could tell me the specifics of her mother's living arrangement with a man that she's had living there.
So who was the person that was living with your mom?
His name is Sam May.
She wanted a partner. She wanted a soulmate. She wanted someone to be with her, like a companion. But my mother's relationship with Sam May felt like something that you would see on Jerry Springer. Sam and my mother were a couple, but he had gotten another female pregnant, Michelle, and moved her into the house. And my mom was taking care of Sam and his girlfriend.
Michelle had resided in the home up until about a year ago.
Do you have Sam's cell number?
I tried calling it over and over this week. It rang once, then nothing.
His telephone was out of service, so you couldn't leave a message. Any missing person complaint, it's imperative to canvass the area to find out when somebody had last seen Mrs. Mudd. The sooner we get that information, the better.
Deputies speak with Cindy's neighbors.
We had run into her neighbor, Lorna.
Excuse me, ma'am. I'm with the sheriff's office. Do you know your neighbor, Cindy Mudd?
Yes, but I've not seen her, not for a while.
It had been at least 3 weeks since she had seen her. Lorna made mention that she had recognized a younger female enter through a window of the residence. When we hear about somebody going through a window, it does create suspicion.
Lorna says the woman she saw enter the house is Sam's ex-girlfriend, Michelle.
They definitely need to be questioned by law enforcement in regard to why they're doing it, what's going on. It's imperative that we make contact with anybody that has had firsthand knowledge of her whereabouts, especially somebody that resides with her.
Who else has been living there?
2 guys, Sam and Arnold.
Who is Arnold?
Sam and Arnold were very good friends. Arnold would be just as important to speak to because if anything had happened, he may very well have either heard or seen something that would be beneficial to our investigation.
Lorna had explained that Arnold worked at a gas station about 1.5 miles from her home. I made contact with the manager of the gas station.
Excuse me, ma'am. I'm with the sheriff's office. I'm looking for one of your employees, Arnold Hiller.
I was advised that he was let go.
You got his cell number?
Arnold's telephone was out of service, so you couldn't leave a message. It's kind of a roadblock.
Kanawha County Sheriff's Office opens a missing persons investigation to find Cindy Mudd. Detective Elford leads the team.
Once all efforts are exhausted in locating her, we put her into NCIC as a missing person. You just got to go to your next piece of key evidence to hopefully locate her.
Investigators access Cindy's bank records to look for clues that might explain her disappearance.
We got Cindy's banking transactions. Come and have a look.
In looking at the transaction history, I noticed that there had been some ATM withdrawals and a lot of activity on July 20th, 21st, 22nd, and July 26th from a Speedway gas station, which is in very close proximity to Cynthia's residence.
That's a total of $832.94. That's a lot of money.
Those 4 transactions, they were back to back. And from looking at her banking history, it's something out of the ordinary.
Let's check it out.
Going down to that gas station, we want to obtain that surveillance footage.
Show me the footage from the camera on the ATM.
We viewed the footage on July 26th, right at the time of the exact transaction. Our hopes is to see who exactly is using that debit card.
Who's that?
I immediately recognized that person using Cindy's card as Samuel May.
I don't see Cindy. Show me the exterior camera.
We may be looking for Cindy as well, see if she may be waiting for him out in the parking lot. But we see nobody on the footage other than him.
Cynthia had some health issues, so it sounded as if he had become like a caretaker for Cynthia. It wouldn't be unusual for Sam to have Cynthia's card to buy groceries or other necessities for Cynthia.
Cindy's card was used at the same ATM 3 more times.
Let's watch the footage from the dates of the other transactions.
On July 20th and July 21st, I saw that it was Samuel May again, and he arrived at the store on foot. He made the cash withdrawal.
He withdraws $403.50 on both of those days. It was very suspicious.
And he headed back in the same direction of Cynthia Mudd's residence.
No Cindy.
Can you play the footage from July 22nd?
What was interesting about July 22nd was not only was Samuel May the one that used the card at the ATM, but he was also accompanied by another white male. He's wearing a ball cap, shorts, and a maroon-collared t-shirt. It was clear that the two men were together. They were communicating. They purchased some snacks together. The male that's with Sam on the surveillance video, he had eyeglasses, is noticeably shorter and stockier. He's got facial hair. That man with Sam was Arnold Hiller, the friend of Samuel's who lived in the home with them.
Show me the outside camera.
They exit the store together, and then they walk back into the direction of Cindy's house.
Seeing that Sam and Arnold had consistently withdrawn money, it is suspicious. What need did they have for this immediate cash in such large amounts? What are they doing with this money?
They're just getting out as much money as the ATM will allow them. The last time Sam and Arnold were seen were just a few days prior. So in our minds, we have to locate them as quick as possible.
Thank you. We're going to need a copy of the footage here. All right, thanks.
Cindy's daughter, Jessica, calls Detective Alford with information she learned from Sam's ex, Michelle.
Detective Alford speaking. Hi, Jessica. How can I help you?
I learned from Jessica that her and Michelle had been in contact with each other.
She said that the last time she saw my mother, Cindy, was a month ago. Michelle said she broke into the house, she climbed in through a window, and she said no one's there, so she thinks that he has fled.
Jessica had given her permission to do that to see if she could maybe locate Cindy.
She told me that she had gone to the house because she hadn't heard anything from my mom, and she too was concerned for my mother.
It was Michelle who neighbor Lorna saw climb through Cindy's window. Investigators charge her with no crimes for entering Cindy's home.
It was obviously very important that we find and speak to Michelle. We met Michelle outside of her place of employment. We interviewed her just in our vehicle outside of the Dollar Tree. We asked Michelle about going over to Cynthia's house. She'd been unable to reach Samuel or Arnold by phone, and so she decided to go over to check on them all.
I actually let myself into the house, and I actually went through the window. I expected to find Sam passed out in bed. I was quite shocked to find the house empty. In Cindy's room, there's pillows missing off of her bed, which is weird because she likes pillows.
If she didn't see any signs of a disturbance, what happened to Cynthia.
So what's your gut telling you?
My gut's telling me that something bad happened to Cindy.
Michelle reveals that she broke up with Sam a week earlier.
He's been a little agitated. He's been distant, major mood swings. He'll be okay one minute, and the next minute he's angry at everyone. Drunk, he's capable of anything.
If Sam wasn't at Salted Drive, do you have any idea where he'd be at?
I don't, honestly.
Michelle explained that because she shares a child with Samuel. She and Samuel have a tracking app called Life 360. This was very exciting because that could obviously give us GPS locations.
And that just basically shows when it went off in his last location, or?
Yeah, it shows the last time that he was out of the house. That was Tuesday night, and then he went home. Wednesday morning is when Sam turned his phone off. So that was the last time I know of him being at that location. It's still off. It still says off since 9:44 Wednesday.
Sam turns his tracking app off on August 17th. That's 2 days before Cindy was reported missing. It raises a red flag. Why would he stop sharing his location? 2 days, that's a lot of time. And with the amount of money they were retrieving from the ATM, I'm sure they could pay someone or maybe take a bus and get out of state. So we have to locate them as quick as possible.
Back at the sheriff's office, investigators reanalyze Cindy's banking activity.
At this point in the investigation, the transaction history using Cynthia's card was the only way we had of tracking anybody.
There's new transactions on Cindy's card. 2 days ago.
We found a transaction on August 17th, the day Sam's Life 360 was turned off. And that was at the Family Dollar in the amount of approximately $71. We had seen who was using the card in July, but we wanted some video surveillance that would show us who in particular is using it in August.
Can we see the footage from August 17th?
We learned that the Family Dollar does have surveillance cameras, and they provided footage of the transaction from August 17th.
Yeah, play from there.
From the camera that's facing the doors, I'm hoping to see who's using Cynthia Mudd's card.
Stop there.
At 6:07 p.m., exiting the store, we see two white males, one in a camouflage hat and a blue shirt with a gray backpack, and we see another male in a white sleeveless shirt and khaki shorts.
That's Sam and Arnold.
It was a confidence booster and let us know we're moving in the right direction.
Rewind.
We're hoping to see what they're purchasing and also when they're checking out as well.
The two don't seem like they're in hiding. They don't appear nervous. They are chatty. They're just kind of joking back and forth.
They shop around for a little while and they pay with Cindy's card. It's a big moment for us as investigators because we see them still continuing spending Cindy's money and she's still a missing person.
Across town, Cindy's family grow increasingly concerned about her whereabouts.
Hi, Detective Alford? And you heard anything yet?
And the police were keeping me informed and making themselves available to me.
Thank you. Please let me know.
Nothing yet.
At one point, it felt like a nightmare. And I was just hoping that I was wrong and that I'd been worrying for nothing. My fears were pretty dark at that point, but I was hoping that maybe she was just sick.
On the following day, after we did the welfare check, a neighbor contacted the sheriff's office about Cynthia's dog.
911, where's your emergency?
Well, I don't know if anything's going on or not, but this lady across the road, the elderly lady, has a dog.
dog. Well, it's been out for days, and it's been over my porch eating cat food.
The neighbor thought that was very unusual. She also went with the dog back over to the residence.
I went to the door to knock on the door to check on the lady, and nobody answered. I followed the dog because it went around back, and he keeps sniffing. It's this big old pile of brush and stuff, and he just keeps sniffing and whining.
The dog kept going to this location in the backyard, pawing at the ground. It just drew a lot of alarm bells for everybody. Deputies went and responded to that call.
So I pulled up to the house. I then went over and spoke with the neighbor, Tanya, who was the complainant for this 911 call. I asked her to show me specifically the area of the yard that she was uncomfortable with.
Hi, boy. I'm gonna go have a look.
The dog came with me. He shadowed me over that location. Along the back fence, directly behind the house, there was what looked to be a partially covered pile of wood. I'm a canine handler. I pay a lot of attention to the dog, to how the dog is interacting with the environment. As soon as I got close to that wood pile, the dog laid down on his stomach, looked directly at the side of it, and he whimpered. His behavior completely changed.
See something?
I realized that what was meant to look like a wood pile was actually a stack of other stuff. I peeled part of like a outdoor backyard pool, and I saw what I thought was the side of a chest-style freezer. It was then that it became completely obvious that I was looking at a form of camouflage. There were several screws holding the freezer door shut. That immediately set off some red flags for me. I believed that there was something in the freezer that we needed to get to.
Corporal Ratliff calls for backup.
I receive a call to go to Sultan Drive. So I stop what I'm doing and I drive there. When I walk into the backyard, it definitely appeared like someone wanted to conceal this deep freezer from people seeing it. I think that that dog was letting us know that something was wrong with that area right there. We attempt to open it. We actually use pry bars to get the screws out of the way.
There was a strong odor. I have only ever been able to associate it with death.
We locate this roll of green carpet. We lifted the carpet out of the deep freezer, and it's got nylon rope around it, like somebody had tied the carpet to make it stay together.
Carefully, they started to peel it open little by little.
We're able to see human bones coming out of that carpet and a human skull.
Based on the state of decomposition, this body has obviously been in the freezer much longer than a day.
We believe that the body in the deep freezer is Cynthia Mudd. I was almost like in disbelief, you know. It was hard for me to realize that somebody could do this to another human being.
The medical examiner's office was able to determine that it in fact was Cynthia Mudd.
The autopsy revealed that Cynthia had a fractured rib and a fractured sternum. That information told me that either Cynthia had a very severe accident, whether that be a fall or someone else has caused those injuries.
Due to her being decayed so much, they estimated that she was deceased for at least a month.
Investigators informed Jessica of her mother's death.
My husband and I were on the front porch. The officer started walking up the steps, and I said it before she could say anything at all.
No. No. No.
she's dead. And she was. They didn't tell me exactly how she died. They just told me that they found out that Nan was dead. It felt like I couldn't breathe. I kind of wished it was wrong, and that something so heinous could never happen to someone so special to me.
Investigators secure a warrant to search the home Cindy shared with Sam and Arnold.
We're able to enter the house and start doing an investigation and collecting evidence and possibly see if the crime happened inside the house. When I'm walking through the residence, I'm looking for blood stains, places that, you know, she could have been injured, weapons, anything to tie what happened to her in the deep freezer in that house. We noticed that there was a hole in the wall, which could have been made from physical force or maybe a blunt object. But there was nothing jumping out at us saying that a crime happened inside the house. As we made our way out to the garage area, we located the white nylon rope.
That rope seemed similar to the white rope that was used to wrap around the carpet that was surrounding the body in the freezer.
Whoever did this to Cindy has access to the home and the garage area.
We're really confident that Sam and Arnold most likely had some involvement in her death. Finding Sam and Arnold is very crucial.
Detectives analyzed the latest transactions on Cindy's debit card to try to pinpoint their location.
On August 17th, there was another transaction in Charleston, West Virginia, an ATM withdrawal for $400 cash. That's quite a large amount, and it prompts us to wonder, is the money being used to, pay to stay somewhere? It shifted our focus to at least the Charleston area.
I see Cindy's card was attempted to be used at a motel, the Quality Inn. My mind goes to, they gotta have somewhere to lay their heads. My adrenaline's pumping because I want to talk to these guys. I want to figure out what happened to Cindy.
Detectives head to the Quality Inn motel.
We're from the Kanawha County Sheriff's Office. Have you seen these two men?
We showed that clerk some photos, and they remember those two guys, Sam and Arnold.
When'd they check in?
It was confirmed that Samuel May and Arnold Hiller checked in to the motel on August 17th. It's the day before Cynthia Mudd was reported missing.
And that was the day that Sam had turned his location off with Michelle. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that they're hiding.
Are they still staying here?
We learned that Sam and Arnold had checked out of the motel on August 22nd. And this date was interesting because the media had just released that Cynthia's body had been recovered. Sam and Arnold probably got the feeling that the cards were getting ready to fall. They realized they needed to make a move.
It was kind of defeating a little bit, but we had another great piece of evidence. We had the surveillance footage from the hotel.
The lobby camera provided footage that showed Sam and Arnold checking into that motel on August 17th at 4:29 p.m.
And it appears that Arnold gives his ID for the room and that Sam pays for the room.
In the lobby, their behavior is somewhat unbelievable because something very bad has happened to Cindy. And here's the two people closest to her that probably know what's happened. Yet here they are being seen just kind of casually joking, nonchalant in a motel lobby.
Can you place the footage from the camera in their hallway?
We got really lucky on that particular camera placement. We got really good views of Sam and Arnold.
They appear to leave the room August 22nd at 9:33 a.m. Sam exits the room wearing a backpack, and shortly after Arnold exits the room, he also has his backpack with him. They walk out of the hotel at that point. Seeing that surveillance footage from the hotel, it's unable to really help us on where they were going. I don't know what happened to them at this point. It's very urgent to locate these two now because obviously they know law enforcement is actively looking for them, what's, going through their heads.
Detective Alford speaking.
So on the morning of August 23rd, I received a phone call that Charleston Police Department has Samuel May. We learned he had actually jumped in the river on the 22nd. I don't know if he was just using the river to try to maybe float and travel as far as he could to the next city, but some people had saw him, called 911, so he was in the hospital overnight. That moment, I got that phone call about Samuel May, I'm excited. I want to be in the interview room with him.
Investigators bring Samuel May back to the sheriff's office for questioning.
We're just here to figure out what happened. You saw the news, you said, so obviously that's what we want to talk to you about. So just start at the beginning.
And I'm not one to lie.
And Detective Morgan had just come out and just flat out asked him.
Let's start from top. Sam, did you kill her? Did you kill her?
Who? Thomas. Cindy?
Yeah.
I did.
When we heard that, we were kind of taken aback from it. Like, wow, like he's ready to talk. He's ready to tell us what really happened.
Arnold and I went out and to the little bar down the road, which I really shouldn't drink, obviously, because I black out. And it's horrifying.
They had gotten drunk and they walked home.
But it was late, and I went straight to bed. And when I got up, Arnold was trying to get me to help her and all that. And you could tell there had been some damage. And
what kind of damage, Sam?
Some face punches, stuff.
Okay.
She
wasn't doing real hot.
Exactly. Were those punches from you? When you blocked out, more than likely? More than likely. Oh.
He's just like, yeah, I blacked out. I woke up and she was hurt really bad. It seemed like almost like he didn't really care as much.
Just snapped?
Yeah, I woke up. I don't even remember getting mad. That's the problem.
I don't believe you blacked out. I believe you knew what happened. He's admitting a little bit, but he doesn't want to go into all that detail because he knows what he did was really horrible. He said that he has assaulted Cindy before, and he's been involved in a few other domestics. We asked him why he hadn't called the hospital whenever Cindy was hurt.
I freaked out. It was all... We were both crazy freaks. Instead of calling the hospital.
It blows my mind that neither one of them called 911.
It didn't matter. And I knew, but she quit breathing on the bed over one of the nights.
We found out that Cindy's death wasn't immediate. It took a few days.
And we checked on her, stuff like that. And, but I was so freaked out, I couldn't even, it's a big fear.
He was thinking about himself and not her. He said that after she had passed away, they decided to take her and roll her up in the carpet, in the deep freezer. He kind of went about his normal day.
Sam is charged with the murder of Cindy Mudd, as well as the concealment of her body.
Sam didn't admit to remembering what he did, so we were hoping to ascertain that information from Arnold. So we had put out still images asking for the public's help in locating Arnold. Approximately 2 weeks later, Arnold is located in Beckley and arrested.
We charged Arnold with fraudulent use of someone's debit or credit card. He's placed in a regional jail. We were able to come to an agreement for an interview with Arnold. He tells us that Sam basically steps on her head 4 or 5 times. And when I say step, I mean with force. The deep freezer idea was Sam's idea, and Arnold did assist with disposing of her body. In January of 2023, Arnold Hiller pleads guilty to concealment and disposal of a body.
The fraud charges against Arnold are dropped as part of his guilty plea.
Arnold was sentenced to 1 to 5 years. In August of 2023, Samuel May pled guilty to second-degree murder, and he was handed a sentence of 40 years in a penitentiary maximum.
As part of the plea deal, prosecutors dropped all other charges against Sam. Investigators pieced together the events that led to Cindy's death.
The investigation revealed that Sam had a tendency to be violent. There was reported incidents involving him and Cynthia.
Michelle and Jessica had both said that he's very abusive towards women. One night in early July, Sam and Arnold go out to a bar and drink. When they got back from the bar, Cindy was up in the living room.
According to Sam, he blacked out and doesn't recall exactly what happened. But I would say he was in a fit of rage. He hit, most likely kicked Cynthia, causing a fractured rib and a fractured sternum.
The following day, he realized that he messed up and he needed help, and he knew Arnold would help him. They keep her alive for about 3 days.
They gave her water, trying to sustain her until she eventually died. And then the two of them conspired to hide her body by wrapping it in carpet. And then they put that carpet with Cynthia's body inside of a deep freezer. And took the freezer out to the backyard where they concealed it with a tarp and stacked other objects up around it. When Sam and Arnold were using her debit card at the Speedway in mid-July, they were using it after her death. When they realized that family had reported her missing is when they decided to leave the house.
On August 17th, Sam takes off the Life 360 tracking app, and they make it to the Quality Inn. Well, I think it just shows that both of them are very selfish, and, you know, they didn't want to get in trouble for what had happened, whereas, you know, if they had called 911 when she was alive, you know, that there's a chance that they could have saved Cindy's life. I don't think there's really a big motive for Sam. I think he's just such an aggressive, like, just a bad person and thought he could get away with it. Cindy's kindness was definitely abused by Sam and Arnold.
CCTV was very helpful in this investigation, actually critical. So I'm putting timelines down.
The surveillance footage in this case was a very big part. I think it would have took a lot longer to resolve if we didn't have the surveillance footage.
And there's always that, well, maybe if I'd have just been forceful and, you know, gone in there and just taken her out, that she would finally leave him. And that just never happened. There's a lot of guilt involved. I miss her laugh. I miss the way that she hugs. I don't know where the world goes without Nan. I don't know where it's supposed to go without Nan. She's my mom. A person who loved me and taught me lessons and helped me when I needed her. If I could say anything to my mom today, I would want her to know how much she's loved and missed.
Next time on See No Evil.
911 emergency.
This was an intentionally set fire.
My son told me, no, Mom, he's been murdered.
What I never could have expected is video of them doing it. I mean, you can't even hope for something like that.
911 emergency.
inside of the house was scorched pretty badly.
This was an intentionally set fire.
He was stabbed multiple times. It was very much a whodunit.
My son told me, no, Mom, he's been murdered.
This wasn't a home invasion. It was somebody that was welcomed in. The video, I mean, you can't even hope for something like that. There's no way.
Where's she going?
It was shocking.
"56-year-old Andy McGuffey is cooking up a feast for his stepdaughter, Amanda, and his granddaughter, Lainey.
Andy came into my life when I was around 8 years old, and he had met my mom, and I immediately became his little sidekick. No matter what he was doing, he loved being in the kitchen.
It's tamale day. Let's eat.
Our favorite papa.
He would always call me and my daughter to come up and have us try a new recipe, and we loved it. My daughter loved her pawpaw.
Andy's wife, Angela, isn't at tonight's dinner. She has COVID and is recovering at her father's house.
I got out of the hospital in October. They had forecasted some very strong tornadoes, and since Andy worked the night shift and I was on oxygen still, I didn't want to be there in our home by myself.
Okay, that's all done. All right, we're gonna head out. See ya.
Okay. Bye, you.
I did speak to him Thursday evening.
And how are you, my love?
He said that he would be picking me up as soon as he got off work the next day. And we said, good night, I love you. And that is the last time that I spoke with him.
Okay, bye.
Next morning, Andy's boss calls Angela. Andy failed to turn up for his 1 a.m. shift.
I said, well, I'm very concerned because I've been with him for 30 years and he's never missed work and not called. My son, Josh, lives a few miles from our home, and so I asked him if he would mind going over to the house and just checking on Andy to make sure he was okay.
Emergency.
Blanchard police officers respond to a 911 call from Josh.
I think there's been a fire.
The patrol officer could see that there was scorching around the front door. He went ahead and went inside, saw that the inside of the house was scorched pretty badly. He went into Andy's bedroom and saw his feet at the end of the bed. Even though upon initial glance you couldn't really see how he had died, they were relatively certain that it was something that they wanted us to come out and investigate pretty quickly.
Agents from the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation arrive on scene, along with the fire marshal.
Went into Andy's bedroom. He was covered up pretty well. He was stabbed multiple times.
I'm counting at least 11 stab wounds.
We observed lacerations and cuts to the head, to the neck, to the face, to the chest.
Because of the widths of the stab marks, it looked like more than one weapon that was used to stab Andy. We quickly came to the conclusion that Andy had been murdered.
Josh calls his mom, Angela.
It was really kind of surreal because it sounded like he was crying, but my son doesn't cry.
Mom?
He said, Mom, Andy's dead. And I screamed. And I said, did he have a heart attack? And that's when Josh told me, no, Mom, he's been murdered. And, you know, then of course I just lost it. And I was like, no, that can't be. That can't be. That just can't be.
Agents searched the scene for clues.
There was like a recliner. And that's where you can really kind of first see the damage that had taken place because it was burned and melted. You can see this gigantic black spot on the floor. The boards there were just scorched. I mean, just completely blacked out. You also had rolls of paper towels all laid out specifically to try to spread the fire.
We noticed they were aerosol cans that were put onto the stove. Had the fire been able to spread into the kitchen area, the aerosol canisters would have made explosions. This was absolutely not an accidental fire. It wasn't a mishap. It wasn't a careless cook, a careless dropping of a cigarette. This was an intentionally set fire.
Whoever this was didn't have to force entry. I thought this wasn't a home invasion. This wasn't somebody that kicked in the door and just went to town on him. It was somebody that was welcomed in. Angela got on scene. She had an oxygen tank on. She was using a walker to be able to get around. My heart just went out to her because she was very, very sick. Angela told us that she had spoken with Andy the night before, around 6 or 7 at night. Then she was woken up the next morning by a phone call from Andy's boss saying that Andy hadn't arrived at 1 a.m. for work. So Andy was killed during that time frame.
Did you notice anything missing from the property?
Josh was able to pick up that there was a lot of property that was missing. There was like a laptop that was missing, purses, DVDs, neck massager. And Andy's white Toyota was missing. I found out that there were a large number of firearms that were missing from the house, including a pink BB gun. We talked to a lot of the friends, a lot of the family. There was nobody that was upset with Andy. There was nobody that had any kind of motive to hurt him or anything like that. So, you know, you still don't have a suspect. It was very much a whodunit.
While investigators put out a bolo for Andy's white pickup, agents worked to trace the missing items.
Agent Gatlin just happened to think, well, I'll check leads online, a database for pawnbrokers across the United States.
Hey, Matt, we got a hit on the pink BB gun.
He was able to determine that a pink BB gun had been pawned and a neck massager had been pawned.
The pawn shop is in Kansas, nearly 300 miles away. Agents review the store's surveillance footage at the Kansas Bureau of Investigation.
Agent Horn says she was able to go to the pawn shop and get video.
Play it from when the store opens. There. What's that? Got the pink BB gun.
And the neck massager.
These two people come into this pawn shop in Kansas. One of them placed a large number of firearms on the counter. One of them was, a large individual.
Punch in.
They had items that we believe was pretty clearly belonging to the victim, Andy. This unidentified person then starts to converse with the pawnbroker to try to sell that property.
Oh, there she is. She's making the deal.
They signed the paperwork.
Can we get that ticket up?
We were able to get signed pawn tickets.
Punch in.
And we come up with the name Debbie Senft.
Get me everything you can on Debbie Senft. S-E-N-F-T. Mm-hmm.
We're not ready to say that these folks killed Andy McGuffey. But what we can say for sure is that they had property that very much looks like Andy McGuffey's.
The next morning, investigators receive Andy's phone records.
So what we were able to see there is who Andy was last talking to the day before the homicide and some of the messages that were going back and forth.
That's a lot of messages from the same number.
The text messages were trying to discuss how to meet up with each other.
Look at this.
Mm-hmm. The tone of the messages was that they knew each other, but they hadn't seen each other in quite some time. Andy's conversation was very much a social form. Andy had even sent a picture of some alcohol that he was drinking at his house, saying, basically saying, yeah, sure, come on by.
Andy arranged to meet this person at his house on the night he was killed.
We got to run that number to the database.
So he plugs the phone number in, and we come up with the name.
Hey, Matt, you're not going to believe it. It's Debbie Senft.
Debbie Senft. But I'm like, hold on a minute. That is the same person from that pawn shop. And so, my initial thought was, who is this person? Why are they talking with Andy?
Agent Miller calls Andy's family to see if they know a Debbie Senft.
Hi, Mrs. McGuffey. This is Agent Miller from OSBI.
He asked if I knew who Deborah Senft was. And I had never heard that name before. Never.
Thank you for your time.
I didn't know, honestly, what to think at that point. What we weren't able to figure out is what kind of connection Debbie and Andy had. We don't know if it's a friend, at the very worst, a girlfriend or something like that perhaps Angela didn't know about.
Andy's family salvage what they can from his home.
I believe that going through the house and trying to clean up and everything, it's hard. It leaves a smell that you can't ever forget. We didn't want to put Mom through any more trouble since her COVID, her breathing and stuff like that. Didn't want her to be around the smoke. We wanted to see how bad it was first before trying to let her go in.
He had put so much hard work into that beautiful home. It was just taken away, destroyed. And that was hard. That was really hard.
Agents contact Andy's neighbors to find out if they saw anything suspicious on the night he was murdered.
During our process of interviewing the neighbors, one woman that we were able to talk with had said that her husband had noticed an unusual vehicle at Andy's house the night before. He gave us a lot of good information. He said that it was like a dark colored, like a charcoal four-door sedan, and my immediate thought was some sort of Toyota or something like that from the description that he had given. Another interesting point was that he had noticed there was a large black dog in the car as well. We looked at that as a potential source of further evidence. You think maybe the person that's driving that car could have something to do with Andy's death.
Agents piece together Debbie Sempf's movements in the lead-up to Andy's murder. They find that she rented a gray Toyota Corolla in Texas 3 weeks earlier.
We were able to get the plate information for the gray car, get that to our dispatch, and be able to have that entered.
Yep, I got it.
A buddy of mine within the Oklahoma Highway Patrol, he tells me there was an accident.
A patrol officer responded to a crash involving the Corolla at 6 a.m. the morning after Andy was killed.
They were able to provide, copies of the accident, the citations, as well as the video from that accident.
Here we go.
The vehicle had gone off the side of the road and hit one of the blinking signs that was on the side of the road.
How you doing? Where's Mom at?
She was heading to Petro. I was falling behind her, and then the tire blew.
You were following her.
I was falling behind her on the highway.
Okay.
All right. The tire blew, and I didn't even have time to react.
He was able to provide the Oklahoma Highway Patrol trooper with a name and date of birth.
What's your last name?
Mussett.
Spell it.
M-U-S-S-E-T-T.
First name?
Zachary.
Z-A-C-H-A-R-Y?
Yeah.
Who is Zachary Mussett?
Come on back to my car.
During that time, he called his mom to have her turn around so that she can pick up Zachary.
Hello.
Who am I speaking with? This Trooper Mueller with the Highway Patrol.
You're speaking with Debbie Simmons.
Debbie who?
Simmons. That's my mom.
Okay, I guess I have your son here. Was he following you?
Wait, did he just say his mom is Debbie Sempf?
I got to pause it right there.
The person seen with Debbie Sempf in the security footage from the Kansas pawn shop is Zachary Mussett.
Mother and son.
19 minutes later, Debbie Sempf arrives at the scene.
Is it okay for me to get out and talk?
Yeah, you can get out and talk to her.
Debbie arrived. The conversation between the three parties on scene in that accident, which is, the trooper, Zachary, and Debbie, none of it made any sense.
Thank you so much for calling me.
No, you're welcome.
My brother was the one that was supposed to be driving the car, but he went off with a friend and left us in the middle of nowhere. So we're just trying to get to the Petro.
Okay. Imagine that.
He knows that they're acting weird, they're acting sketchy. You can tell that from the trooper's demeanor.
Agent Matt Miller calls Andy's family to ask if they recognize the name Zachary Mussett.
Matt actually relayed the name Mussett. I said, wait a minute, Zachary Mussett. That is Andy's nephew, who we haven't seen in 12 years.
My mom kind of lost it, and she goes, oh my word. Debbie Sempf, that is Andy's half-sister.
I said, yeah, if you would have said Debbie Mussett, I would have been able to tell you right from the beginning. I did not know if she had ever gotten married and that her last name had ever changed.
Our two suspects in this case were actually related to the victim. And that is what is really surprising. We had figured out that they had pawned items that belonged to Andy in Kansas. We then know that Zach was in an accident in Oklahoma City around 6 o'clock in the morning, the day after Andy was killed. But what we don't know is what happened the day of the murder, and that's our job to figure out.
Agents secure the GPS data for Debbie Semp's phone.
Lieutenant Gatlin was able to plot out Debbie's cell phone locations and determine that she was, in fact, in the area during our period of time where Andy may have been killed, in between that 6 to 7 time to 1 a.m.
Hey, Matt, come look at this.
Around 6 o'clock, Debbie was at Love's travel stop in Oklahoma City, pretty close to Andy's house.
We better get down there.
Agents search the area around Love's for clues that might reveal Debbie and Zachary's movements during that time.
So next door to this Love's is a car wash. We go through the car wash.
Dave, look.
We actually find the victim's truck.
Bingo.
We were able to get a hold of the owner of the car wash.
Major Miller from the OSBI. We need to see your surveillance footage now.
The owner says, "Yeah, I've got video cameras all over that thing." I started watching the videos.
Load up the outside camera around 1:30 on the 15th.
I wasn't quite sure what I was going to get. At the most, I thought at that point to get, some sort of pinpoint location that I could get some sort of forensic information or forensic evidence for the case. What I never could have expected is that I would have videos better than that forensic evidence.
Wait, stop.
On the video from the car wash, it's around 1:30. You have them pulling in the Penske moving truck, but you also have them pulling in Andy's white Toyota Tacoma. You can see them parking Andy's truck and then parking the Penske truck at the car wash.
Let's zoom in. And pause it there.
What you see is an inspection of several different weapons that are in the car. And Zach almost kind of taking stock of what they have. Some headlights appear towards the top of the frame.
Switch to the next bay.
Debbie then pulls the Corolla into the next stall over. So in one bay, you have the Toyota Corolla.
Switch back.
And then in the next stall over is Andy's truck. And then you have the Penske moving truck that's concealing what they're actually doing. They both look straight up at the camera in one of the bays.
Can you believe it?
But instead of stopping and moving, they just keep on doing what they're doing. Andy's truck had a camper shell on it. It was open so that they could then load property straight from the back of the truck into the Penske moving truck. They're unloading Andy's stuff and putting it in their truck, figuring out what they wanted to keep, what they didn't want to keep.
Pause it. Zoom in.
There. The neck massager from Andy's home.
Because I've been involved in this case from the very beginning, it's very exciting, especially whenever you start recognizing things that are actually coming out of the truck.
Take me to the outside camera.
And on the other side of the car wash, you can see them actually throwing property away in the dumpster in the back. It was really cold-blooded that anything that they had taken from Andy that they didn't necessarily want, they just threw away in a large dumpster behind the car wash.
Take me back to the inside camera.
Zachary pulls out a knife from the truck, walks off screen, and then comes back wiping the knife off on his pants. That could have been our murder weapon. He was destroying evidence. They spend 4 or 5 hours unloading property into this Penske. Once you can kind of tell they're starting to wrap up, they're about to leave, they start wiping Andy's truck down in the anticipation that somebody is going to find it. And so you can see them kind of going through in their mind everywhere that they've touched, which is like, you know, the handle on the camper shell, the door handle. You would never in 1,000 years say, well, yeah, I hope we've got a video of them driving it in and then trying to destroy evidence by wiping their fingerprints off everything. There's no way.
Debbie and Zachary leave the car wash at 5:30 a.m.
It's pretty clear at that point that there were no other suspects other than Debbie or Zachary. So that's when the decision was made to go ahead and type up that arrest warrant.
The family are left reeling after receiving the news that Andy's half-sister and nephew could be involved in his murder.
It was extremely difficult for me to comprehend because they had dropped so far off of my radar. You know, I mean, as far as I knew, we had no contact with them at all.
There were no words to explain how shocked we were that family members could do that.
It was hard to wrap my mind around all of it. Just to know that someone in his family was capable of that just made it too hard.
Agents ping Debbie's phone to pinpoint her location. It reveals that she's in Wyoming. Agents call local law enforcement to make the arrest.
Wyoming enlists a couple of their guys to kind of wait in a certain part of the state that they assumed that they would probably be traveling through. And they just waited for a Penske truck to come by.
You got eyes on him?
They confirmed pretty easily that Debbie was driving the truck, and then radioed their counterparts on the highway patrol.
When the moment's right, bring him in.
Hands where I can see him! Step outside of the vehicle slowly. Keep your hands up.
It was very peaceful. Neither one put up a fight or anything like that.
Slowly. Turn around, hands behind your head.
And we were able to get Debbie and Zach taken to jail.
All right, let's get this thing towed.
Debbie is one of the more unassuming people that I've ever arrested. But Andy was stabbed multiple times. So whenever you have somebody that was stabbed that many times in a brutal, brutal attack, you know you're dealing with a very dangerous person. And one of the biggest questions that I had was the motivation, because at that point, you know, we had no idea what they might say.
Agents travel to Wyoming. They analyze the moving truck that Debbie was driving at the time of her arrest.
So we found not only his ID in his wallet with his debit cards and things like that, but we found, you know, one of the guns that was reported missing that we had a serial number for. We found a wedding picture. There was a large gun case, but there was all kinds of stuff, glasses that were wrapped in dish towels. And I thought to myself, why would you steal that? Like, if it was not nailed down, they took it.
Next, the agents interview the suspects. They start with Zachary.
The first thing that I noticed about Zach is that he was wearing the exact same clothing that he was in the Kansas pawn shop video.
Zachary tells the agents that he and his mom, Debbie, were relocating from Texas to Colorado.
Zachary described stopping at different churches to try to get gas money, as well as looking for handouts for food or anything else that they could possibly get from the goodwill of others.
They paid Andy a brief visit on their way through Oklahoma.
I said, well, okay, well, what were you driving? And he tells me a four-door gray, like Toyota Corolla. So that shows you you're on the right track. The neighbors had told us there was a large black dog in the car. So I said, Chance, you had any dogs or anything like that with you? And he's like, yeah. So, you know, you have another little grain of sand that lets you know that you're on the right path.
So you stayed with Andy for an hour, 2 max, right?
That's right, and then we hit the road.
So what did you and your mom do for those few hours you were with Andy?
He told me that he was eating eggs and sausage at Andy's house, which was a valuable piece of information because we found plates of food that had eggs and sausage.
Agent Miller reveals to Zachary that Andy McGuffey was murdered and his home set on fire.
Was there some sort of disagreement? Did a fight break out? Can you tell me what happened?
But whenever we got to the part where Andy was murdered, he would just say he doesn't remember. So you move on past that until I show him a picture of him inside the pawn shop. And I say,
is that you?
Yeah.
Who's that with you?
That's my mom.
What were you guys doing? I don't know. Well, let me show you some of this video.
Did you agree that it looks like you're pawning something?
Yeah, what are you pawning? I don't know.
Where would you get that sort of stuff?
I don't know. So, you know, it's pretty clear at that point that even with, you know, pressing or, you know, whatever you can do or tips or tricks that you can try to get him to tell you the truth, that he's probably not going to.
Next, agents interview Zachary's mother, Debbie.
Debbie was certainly the leader of the two. I mean, he was her adult son. I mean, he was twice the size that she is in both height and weight, but she was definitely calling the shots.
Do you know Andy McGuffey?
She says, yeah, well, that's my half-brother.
Zach just told us you went to see Andy.
I just tried to point out what we already knew, along with some of the information that Zach had told us, to see if she would change her story.
I ain't saying no more. I want my lawyer.
And what that ultimately ended with is her just asking for a lawyer, so the interview pretty much stopped after that. But by that point, we do believe that we've got enough information. So Lieutenant Gatlin and I charge both Zachary and Debbie with murder in the first degree and arson.
February 14th, 2023. Debbie Sempt and Zachary Muzzett stand trial for the murder of Andy McGuffey. Prosecutors step through the events that led to his killing.
The night that Andy was murdered, what they ended up doing was parking the Penske at the Loves and then taking their rented Toyota Corolla out to Andy's. We know that they were at Andy's house. We had found the plates of food more than one person had been eating. One of them probably distracted them, the other hit them, and then they both stabbed him. So Debbie and Zach both then load up all of his possessions in his own truck and their car. We believe they probably moved Andy's body from the living room to his bedroom because of how he was positioned and how he was wrapped up in the blanket. And then they went to great lengths to try to set this fire to make sure that it would burn the house down. They go back to their moving truck with 2 carloads full of Andy's property in the, late hours. They spend a long time unloading property from Andy's truck, and they leave around 5:30 in the morning. Debbie and Zach made it to Kansas, where a pink BB gun had been pawned and a neck massager had been pawned. They kept going north up through Nebraska. 3 days later, they were caught in Wyoming.
Hands where I can see them!
The motivation very much looks like it's just theft. They made it very clear that they were very short on funds at that particular time, and that was what they knew that they could do to get money. I mean, that's just to take somebody out of this world for all their possessions is just a hard pill to swallow. In the multiple times that I've had interaction with them, there was never any sign of remorse, never any tears, nothing.
The jury finds both Debbie and Zachary guilty of first-degree murder. The judge sentences them to life in prison without parole for Andy's killing and 35 years for arson.
That was a relief. I'm actually grateful that that's the sentence that they went with. A lot of tears and a lot of smiles.
I don't think it's overstating anything to say that the videos of them unloading and loading stuff at the car wash was a nail in the coffin.
My brother was the one that was supposed to be driving the car, but he went off with a friend and left us in the middle of nowhere, so we were just trying to get to the Petro.
Investigators found no evidence that any of Debbie's brothers had knowledge of or involvement in Andy's murder.
I'm both sad and angry that Andy no longer gets to be here to watch all the grandkids excel in life, that they don't get to have their grandpa to go fishing with and have him cooking up his awesome food. He cherished all of his grandkids. I'm pretty sure my mom still cries every day. I'm almost positive she still cries every night. I know she's got the last voicemail that he ever left her. It would surprise me if she still doesn't listen to it every day, just so she can have his voice.
The impact that it's had on me, for certain, is devastating. I really think he was one of a kind. I used to say he was my whole package, my whole package.
The quiet landscapes of Kanawha County, West Virginia, are defined by a sense of community and long-standing traditions. In the small town of Cross Lanes, residents often value the familiarity of their surroundings and the reliability of their neighbors. However, in August 2022, this sense of security was fundamentally challenged when a well-known and respected member of the community, 71-year-old Cindy Mudd, failed to maintain her usual routine. What began as a concerned inquiry from her family evolved into a complex investigation that would rely heavily on the silent testimony of surveillance technology. This case serves as a profound study in the intersection of modern forensics, community vigilance, and the vulnerabilities that can exist within even the most established social circles. By examining the disappearance of Cindy Mudd, we gain insight into the meticulous processes of the Kanawha County Sheriff's Office and the broader societal implications of trust and accountability. To understand the impact of this case, one must first understand the person Cindy Mudd was, a retired employee of the state of West Virginia. Cindy had dedicated decades of her life to public service. Her professional life was characterized by diligence and order, traits that she carried into her retirement. She was a cornerstone of her family, known for her punctuality, her devotion to her children and grandchildren, and her active participation in local life. In a journalistic sense, Cindy represented the backbone of the American workforce, a person who worked hard, contributed to her community, and looked forward to a peaceful retirement surrounded by loved ones. Her life was not one of high-risk behavior or unpredictability. It was a life built on a foundation of stability. This stability is exactly what made her sudden absence on August 10, 2022, so immediately alarming to those who knew her. When a person with a predictable schedule suddenly stops communicating, law enforcement must quickly determine if they are dealing with a voluntary absence or something more concerning. In the case of Cindy Mudd, her family knew instantly that her silence was involuntary. She had plans that she would never miss, and her phone, a primary line of communication with her family, went unanswered. The initial report to the Kanawha County Sheriff's Office set in motion a standard missing persons protocol. But investigators soon realized that the circumstances surrounding Cindy's disappearance did not align with a typical welfare check. There were no signs of a struggle at her home, yet she was gone, and more importantly, her vehicle was missing. The investigation began with a reconstruction of Cindy's final known movements. This is a critical phase in any modern inquiry involving the collection of digital breadcrumbs. Detectives started with her last confirmed location, her home in Cross Lanes. From there, they moved outward, seeking any record of her vehicle, a white SUV. This is where the role of surveillance technology, a central theme in this narrative, becomes paramount. In the modern era, our movements are often recorded by a variety of lenses, from municipal traffic cameras to private business security systems and residential doorbell cameras. Each frame of footage serves as a factual anchor in a timeline that investigators must piece together. The first breakthrough came from a local Kroger grocery store. Surveillance footage from the morning of August 10th showed Cindy Mudd entering the store, performing her shopping, and leaving in a routine manner. There was nothing in her demeanor to suggest distress. She was simply a citizen going about her day. This footage provided a last-seen timestamp, a baseline for the investigation. However, the mystery deepened when her vehicle was seen on subsequent cameras, but the person behind the wheel did not appear to be Cindy. This discrepancy shifted the investigation from a missing persons search to a potential criminal inquiry. The goal was no longer just to find Cindy, but to identify the individual operating her vehicle and determine how they came to be in possession of it. As investigators analyzed the trail of the white SUV, they utilized automated license plate recognition, YLPR, systems and private security feeds. This digital tracking allowed the sheriff's office to map the vehicle's journey across Kanawha County. The movement was erratic and did not align with Cindy's typical driving patterns. While the technology provided the where and when, the who remained a grainy silhouette behind the windshield. To bridge this gap, detectives looked for other signs of activity. One of the most effective ways to track a suspect in the 21st century is through financial footprints. Shortly after Cindy vanished, her credit cards were used at multiple locations, including gas stations and retail outlets. By coordinating with financial institutions, investigators were able to pinpoint the exact moment and location of these transactions. They then synchronized these times with the surveillance systems of the businesses involved. It was at a local convenience store that the investigation gained a clear image of a person of interest. The individual using the cards was a male, significantly younger than Cindy, and appearing to act with a degree of urgency. This footage was not just evidence of a crime, it was a tool for identification. Through community outreach, and the sharing of these images within law enforcement networks, the individual was identified as Samuel May. The identification of Samuel May brought a new layer of complexity to the case. Investigators had to determine if there was a pre-existing relationship between the suspect and the victim. In many cases of this nature, the perpetrator is not a stranger, but someone who has gained access to the victim's life through a position of trust or service. Research into May's background revealed that he had performed various labor and handyman tasks in the area. It was discovered that he had recently been hired by Cindy Mudd to perform work on her property. This detail is a significant point of analysis for community safety. It highlights the potential risks inherent in informal labor arrangements, where background checks and professional oversight are often absent. From a sociological perspective, this illustrates how a person's willingness to be helpful or to provide employment can be exploited by someone with ulterior motives. As the search for Samuel May intensified, the focus also remained on finding Cindy. The investigation led deputies to her property in Cross Lanes, West Virginia. This location became the focal point of a massive forensic effort. Law enforcement must approach such scenes with extreme precision to ensure that any evidence found is admissible in court and that the integrity of the investigation is maintained. The property was large, containing various structures and outdoor areas that required a systematic search. During this search, investigators noticed an anomaly in the backyard. A large, green outdoor carpet or rug had been placed in an area that seemed out of place. Upon further inspection, the significance of this item became clear. It was used as a concealment device. Beneath the green carpet inside a freezer, investigators located the remains of Cindy Mudd. This discovery transformed the case into a homicide investigation. The presence of the carpet suggested a level of premeditation, or at the very least, a deliberate attempt to hide the results of a violent encounter. For the family and the community, the news was devastating. The woman who had given so much to her state and her neighbors had met a tragic end in a manner that defied the values she lived by. The forensic analysis of a scene and the subsequent autopsy provided essential data for the prosecution. While we maintain a respectful distance from the graphic details of the findings, it is important to note that the evidence pointed toward a physical confrontation that occurred at Cindy's home. This timeline suggested that the motive was primarily financial. May, facing his own set of personal and financial challenges, appeared to have targeted Cindy for her resources. The use of her vehicle and credit cards immediately following her disappearance supported the theory that the crime was driven by a perceived need for quick acquisition of assets. Samuel May was subsequently apprehended and charged. The legal proceedings that followed were a testament to the thoroughness of the Kanawha County Sheriff's Office and the local prosecutor's office. In a trial or a plea negotiation, the strength of the evidence is what dictates the outcome. In this case, the evidence was overwhelming. The combination of surveillance footage showing May in Cindy's car, the video of him using her credit cards, and the physical evidence linking him to the location where her remains were found created a comprehensive narrative of guilt. The psychological profile of such a crime often involves a perpetrator who lacks long-term foresight. The immediate gain of a vehicle or a credit card is weighed against the ultimate certainty of being caught in an age of ubiquitous surveillance. For Samuel May, the choices made in August 2022 were not just criminal. They were a total abandonment of social responsibility. From a journalistic and educational standpoint, this case highlights a phenomenon often seen in modern criminology, the digital trap. Perpetrators often underestimate the reach of technology, operating under the outdated assumption that they can disappear into the landscape. However, as this investigation showed, the green carpet was not enough to hide the truth from a dedicated team of investigators armed with digital tools. In the courtroom, the focus shifted to accountability. In June 2023, Samuel May entered a plea agreement. He pleaded guilty to second-degree murder. This plea meant that he acknowledged the evidence against him was sufficient for a conviction and avoided a lengthy trial that would have further burdened the victim's family. The sentencing phase allowed for a reflection on the impact of Cindy Mudd's life and the void left by her passing. Her family spoke of her kindness, her work ethic, and the injustice of a life cut short by someone she had tried to help by providing employment. The sentencing of Samuel May to 40 years in prison represents a significant level of accountability within the West Virginia legal system for this crime. It serves as a clear message about the consequences of such actions. However, the conclusion of the legal case is only one part of the story. The broader analysis involves looking at how communities can better protect their most vulnerable members. Cindy Mudd was an independent, capable woman, yet she was targeted by someone who saw her as an opportunity. This underscores the need for increased awareness regarding the vetting of service providers and the importance of neighbor-to-neighbor check-ins. Furthermore, this case illustrates the evolving role of the citizen in modern investigations. Many of the surveillance clips used to track the white SUV came from private residences. When citizens install security cameras, they are not just protecting their own property. They are contributing to a web of community safety. The cooperation between the public and law enforcement in the Mudd case was a deciding factor in its rapid resolution. It demonstrates that while technology is a powerful tool, its effectiveness is maximized when paired with a community that is willing to engage and share information. Reflecting on the life of Cindy Mudd, we see a woman whose legacy is defined by her 30 years of service to the state and her unwavering love for her family. Her story is a reminder of the fragility of the social contract and the importance of the systems we have in place to uphold justice. The Kanawha County Sheriff's Office's use of surveillance was not about intruding on privacy, but about restoring the truth. They used the digital echoes of Cindy's final hours to speak for her when she no longer could. As we conclude this analysis, we look toward the lessons learned. We learn that vigilance is not a sign of fear, but a tool for prevention. We learned that the silent witnesses, the cameras on our street corners and doorsteps, play a vital role in modern accountability. And most importantly, we learned the value of a life like Cindy's, a life of quiet contribution and steady devotion. The resolution of this case provides a sense of justice, but the true objective of documenting such events is to foster a deeper understanding of our society, the risks that exist within it, and the collective efforts required to maintain safety and honor the memory of those lost. The story of the green carpet is ultimately not a story of concealment, but a story of the light that forensic science and dedicated investigation can shine on the darkest of actions, ensuring that no life is taken without an accounting and no victim is forgotten.